Welcome to the English with Kirsty podcast from www.englishwithkirsty.com. Here I'll be sharing with you tips, information and other learning resources so that you can improve your business English. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the English with Kirsty podcast. So this week, I know the topic doesn't sound very exciting, but I've decided to do it because when I'm correcting or proofreading texts for native speakers and companies, one of the biggest problems I find is people misusing the apostrophe, forgetting it, putting it in the wrong place. And so I thought I would do something about apostrophes for learners as well, because if native speakers get it wrong all the time, then it's probably something that will be a bit confusing for some learners as well. So I'm going to quickly run through when we need to use an apostrophe, but the second part of the podcast and the slightly longer part is some examples of the mistakes that people make, because it's okay knowing the theory, but if you can actually see the examples of what's right and what's wrong, it should help you to make sure that you're using them in the right way as well. So I've also written an article to go with this podcast, and I'll link it from the show notes page, which is www.englishwithkirsty.com/podcast/episode 26. And again, remember to spell my name right, so Kirsty. Okay, so the apostrophe, what's it for? Well, the first way it can be used is to replace missing letters. So all these words like can't, won't, doesn't, haven't, isn't, he's, it's, your, all these words where there is a letter missing need an apostrophe to show that they're two words put together with a letter missing. And the other reason you use an apostrophe is to show that something belongs to somebody, to show possession. So Kirsty's laptop, Kirsty's desk belongs to Kirsty, so it gets the apostrophe S. And it can be plural or singular, so Kirsty's student or Kirsty's students. It doesn't matter. If something's plural, you just make it plural in the normal way. It can be slightly different when the thing or the person that you're talking about, the name ends in an S, so a name like James. There are differences of opinion about how this should be done, but many style guides, and I also would suggest that you just add an apostrophe. So instead of saying James's bike, because James ends in an S, you can just put an apostrophe there. James bike, Nicholas shoes, or so something like that. You just put the apostrophe. There are some style guides that say you can put apostrophe S for all single nouns to show the possessive. So I'm not going to say that James's bike is wrong, although I don't like it and I wouldn't write it. Some style guides say that you can. But whatever you do, I would suggest that you do it the way that I've shown on the show notes page, but whatever you do, be consistent. But S apostrophe is necessary if you're making a plural and showing possession there. So if you say my neighbour's garden, neighbour apostrophe S, it means you have one neighbour and you're talking about their garden. But if you say my neighbour's S apostrophe garden, then you mean the garden that belongs to your neighbours. So it shows whether you're talking about something that belongs to one or more people. So my colleague apostrophe S office is the office that belongs to my colleague, but my colleague's office, so S apostrophe at the end, shows that you've got more than one colleague and you're talking about the office that belongs to them. So when you're making plurals, then you need this S apostrophe at the end. If two people have something together, they possess something together, like Amy and Sam's house, the house belongs to Amy and Sam, then it's okay just to put the apostrophe after the second person's name, which here is Sam, so Amy and Sam's house. But if there are several things and they belong to several people and they're not jointly owned, then you could say something like Amy's and Sam's passports are on the table. So Amy and Sam don't share the passports. You don't share your passport with anyone. It's yours, and it's only yours. So if they're people that are unrelated or things that people definitely have their own possessions, then you can put 2 apostrophes, Amy's and Sam's passports. Okay, so that's just a quick run through of when you need to use the apostrophe. Now I'm going to look at some mistakes. And there's 6 main mistakes that people make. So the first one is using an apostrophe to replace a missing letter, which I've said is okay, but before punctuation. So it just sounds really weird at the end of a sentence, and we just don't do it. I don't know why, but it will make your writing sound odd if you do it. So if you've got a comma or a full stop or something, you should write out the 2 words like I am or you are, that kind of thing. So you can't write things like I can't believe how happy I'm, full stop. It has to be I can't believe how happy I am because of the full stop. So you can't write I'm and then full stop. Another thing, are you going to the train station? If you are, comma, I'll give you a lift. So you can't write if you're, comma, I'll give you a lift, because that just sounds weird and we don't do that. So because of the comma, you need to write you are. Okay, the second one is 2 sets of words, it's and your. So it's with an apostrophe means it is, it's raining. Can't write it's cold today without the apostrophe because that doesn't make sense, because it's like that means something that belongs to it. Okay, and your equals something that belongs to you. Your books, put your books away please. But your with an apostrophe equals you are. You're welcome. So be careful when you're writing, because if you're talking about something that belongs to somebody, it needs to be your without the apostrophe. Okay, number 3. Adding S apostrophe to words that are already plural. So if you've got a word like children or women, you shouldn't add S apostrophe to them because they're already plural. So because one woman, one child, it's not the same word. So you've got these special plural words which haven't just had an S added to them. In those words you can write the children's toys are on the floor. Children apostrophe S, because we already know that children is a plural word, so we don't need to add S apostrophe to it. So the women's changing rooms are on the left. So again, women, we know it's a plural, so just apostrophe S is fine there, because we're not making, we're not showing that it's a plural of a singular word, because the singular of women is woman. Okay, number 4, making plurals with an apostrophe. And I don't know why people do this, but sometimes when they're writing plural words, they just add an apostrophe for no good reason. So if you had a shop, you could sell tomatoes, potatoes, carrots. You just add an S or an ES to these vegetables to make them plural. But you don't add an apostrophe. You can't have carrot apostrophe S for sale, because that makes no sense unless you're talking about something that belongs to the carrot, like the carrot's leaves. But you can't just add apostrophes where you really just want a plural. Number 5 is something that I've seen particularly with businesses. If the company name ends with an S, like flowers or cakes or whatever it is, if something belongs to that company, like Major Chocolate Cakes Special Offers, something like that, then the apostrophe comes after the S, because you can't change the name of the company and add the apostrophe before the S, because that's not right. You can't change a company's name. And I've seen this all the way through a document where a company decided to, or the person writing it decided to put the apostrophe before the S because they knew that you need an apostrophe to show possession, but that doesn't work in situations where the company's name begins with an S. It has to ends with an S. It has to come after the S, because you're not allowed to change the company's name. Okay, and the last thing is forgetting the apostrophe altogether. So people would be talking about we need the manager's signature, talking about the customer's requirements, and it didn't have an apostrophe at all. And that's just that's not good, because people will see that and they'll think, oh, they couldn't be bothered to check the document properly. Do we want to trust this company? And the rest of the document could be really good, and the document that I was reading was good, but because of these missing apostrophes or apostrophes in the wrong places, it would make some people question the credibility of the document, and you don't want that. You want people to read the documents for what's in them, and not for not to be making comments or questioning how good the document is based on whether you use the apostrophes properly. So I would just advise that you just have a look through your documents, read through them, your emails, and just make sure before they go out that you have got the apostrophes in the right place. So I hope that was helpful. If you want to have a look at these, again, have a look on the show notes page, which is www.englishwithkirsty.com/podcast/episode 26. And there will be a link there to the article with the examples that I've talked about. And if you're generally interested in improving your writing, I do also have a writing course, which is different from my other courses because you don't actually have online conversations with me, but you can do a 5 or a 10-part writing course in which I send you the task, and you do your writing task, you email it back to me, and I give you a report each time about things that you could improve, any mistakes, so I'll correct mistakes, I'll tell you why I've done it. So you basically got 5 or 10 reports at the end of it that you can look back to. They're personalized, and you can see how you can improve your writing skills. So it's based on the writing that you've done to complete the tasks. So if you're interested in that, I will also put a link to the writing course on the show notes page. So I wish you all a good week, and I'll be back again next week with another episode of English with Kirsty. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the English with Kirsty podcast. If you have any questions or comments, my email address is kirsty@englishwithkirsty.com, or you can go to www.englishwithkirsty.com/podcast, where you'll find information about the individual episodes.